Hello, this is a presentation of Multiarea OSPF and it is a part of my advanced networking course. When we have OSPF running on a single area and this area is getting larger and larger, we might see some problems in the way that OSPF works because our routing table will be larger and larger. Our link state database where we have an overview of all our neighbors and the links to all our neighbors will be huge, and we might have to calculate the shortest path first algorithm quite a lot of times whenever there is a small change in the entire network. And this makes the routing process inefficient. So what we want to do is we want to actually segment our OSPF network and make it consist of smaller parts instead of one huge network. And we can do that by implementing something called multi-area OSPF. It's quite simple, really. It's just instead of having one big area, we have now smaller areas. The only thing that is important to remember about this is that we have the area 0. This is a specific area because this is the backbone area. Every other areas that we want to connect to the rest of the OSPF network needs to have a connection to the area 0. So area 0 is the backbone where we have connection to all the different other areas that we set up, depending on, of course, how large our network is. So it's important to remember that area 0 is the backbone or the transit area. This is where we communicate. This is where we interconnect our areas. Then we have the regular areas or the non-backbone areas. Yep. When we have multi-area OSPF, we will normally talk about different types of routers which indicates what kind of function they have in our multi-area OSPF. The first one is the internal routers. These are the routers within an area, which does not have any functionality in connecting areas or anything. It's just a part of the different types of area. For instance, area 1, area 0, area 51. Then we have the backbone routers. These are all the routers that are connected within area 0. So all the routers, also the internal routers in area 0 are called backbone routers. Then we have something called the area border routers. These are the routers that are connected to area 0 in one leg and in another area in another leg. Or another interface. So this is the border between the different areas. That is called area border routers or ABRs. Then we have the last one, which is the autonomous system boundary router or ASBR. These are the routers that, apart from being an ABR, also have a connection to the rest of the world outside our OSPF network. It could be to other external routes. It could be to the internet, for instance. So that is called an ASBR. When we look at the different types of routers, there are these different types of LSA that they receive and send. We remember from when we discussed OSPF that OSPF updates the other routers with sending LSAs, link state advertisements. And there are different types that will be sent to different types of routers. We have type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is covered in this curriculum. There are some other types as well, but we will look at the first 5. So we have type 1, which is a router LSA. I think we will come to it here, which is where we send connections to our directly connected networks. Send the network prefix and what kind of a link we have. All routers generate these type 1 LSAs. The thing here is also that they will never be propagated beyond an ABR. So these are updates that is sent within each area, not between them. Type 2 is something more or less the same, but it is something that is sent on a multi-access network. We remember that when we talked about OSPF on a multi-access network, there will be one of the routers which is the designated router, or the DR. So only the DR will generate these kinds of packages. Then we have the type 3 LSAs, which is something that the ABRs are sending out. This is information about other routes. It describes the network address and the subnet mask of each and every LSA1 packet. So this is where the different areas exchange information about the networks that are in the different types of areas that we have. By default, these routes are not summarized, and the ABRs flood the type 3 LSAs to other areas, and they are being regenerated by other ABRs. Then we have the type 4, which is something if we need access to an ASBR, so that we can get access to the internet or external routes. This is information about the route to the ASBR. And this is generated and sent on to the different ABRs. So this is information that is sent out between the different areas. And the last one is about the routes learned by the ASBR, for instance, external routes. This is also flooded within between the different areas. So if we have an ASBR here connected to some kind of external route, then this information will be sent by sending LSA type 5 addresses. Yeah, and how can we see these different types in our routing table? We can actually see them by looking at the entries in the routing table and see what's in front of them, because a normal route, OSPF route, will have an O in front of it, which means that it has been learned by OSPF. This is information coming from type 1 and type 2 LSA. This is routes learned within the same area. Then we have the O with an IA afterwards. This is inter-area routes. So this is routes learned by the ABRs. So this is typically networks existing in another area than my own. Then we have an O with either an E1 or an E2 in front of it. This denotes that this is an external route. So this is something that is learned by an ASBR, an autonomous system border router. So this is where we have connection to something outside our own OSPF network. Yeah, and then we can see here, the addresses and the metric and everything within our routing table here. Then the same thing will apply if we are using OSPF version 3 for IP version 6. Same thing here. We have an OIA for a router learned from other areas, and we have E denoting that this is something that we have learned from external routes. So this is the same thing. But we are here able to see within the routing table whether we have learned the routes from within our own area or from the outside areas or from the outside OSPF. That was it. Thank you.